Which one of these is your father?
That's my father. They came out and they brought all their family money out, and it was all sunk into this country.
Do you think they had a sense of what the purpose of the British Empire was, or were they just concerned with getting on with their lives?
I think there was quite a lot of that. Englishmen were proud of having an empire, being a part of it. And I think that every family in England around about that time had a member of it who's serving or doing development somewhere in the empire, be it an administrator in India or a policeman in Nigeria or a farmer in Kenya or a gold miner in South Africa. Everyone had a member of the family, and so they were all very aware of Britain's empire and were proud of it then.
Are you proud of it?
Yes, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of.
One African writer dismissed the white farmers as parasites in paradise, living off land they had taken from others. Whatever the justice of that remark, the white settlers of Kenya felt they had a right to the land they were developing. This was their home now. It would be half a century before this tension found a bloody resolution as the country stumbled towards independence. It was the British who created the country's capital, Nairobi. The city still has plenty of the rough and ready feel of the early days. Not much more than a century ago, this was just a strip of swampy ground. No one planned Nairobi as a capital city, it just happened. It happened because it was a railway stop on one of the most ambitious lines in the entire British Empire, the Lunatic Line. For the Empire in 1900, making yourself at home meant building a railway. The line ran 600 miles from the coast through Nairobi all the way to Lake Victoria. It was built to bring British goods to the interior and raw materials out to ports on the coast. It would encourage British farmers to come out here and settle. There was plenty to merit the title Lunatic Line. There was the cost. £534 million in today's money. There was the engineering required to allow a train to climb from sea level into the mountains and then to plunge down into the Great Rift Valley, and to construct 1,200 bridges on the way. But it wasn't the British who built the railway, it wasn't even the Africans. This remarkable feat was the work of 32,000 labourers, craftsmen and engineers brought in by the British from India. They knew how to build railways there. Soon the Lunatic Line was carrying coffee and tea, sisal and wheat from the settlers' farms to the coast. The building of the railway was a staggering feat, but it came at a staggering cost in human life. 2,500 workers were killed during its construction by malaria, accidents, or man-eating lions. What was the attraction for someone like your great-grandfather and his brother when they came here?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't think we were very well off back at home, okay? Because, I mean, why would you want to leave the comfort of your home to come into this wilderness? Harsh African conditions, vegetation, a strange land to them. It wasn't very easy because water was scarce, especially when they were going towards, across the Taru Desert, towards Tsavo. They didn't have water for showering for like weeks. You know, they would just get enough water just to drink. And what my great-grandfather told me is when the carriage would come for their drinking water, they would pretend to be clumsy about drinking their water because basically they'd go and scoop it out and they'd pretend to be clumsy about it, in the process have a little shower, you know, like literally throw the water on them.
And dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Eh?
Yes, wilderness, wild animals are out in Tsavo.
Tsavo's a place? Yeah?
Yes, that's man-eaters.
I've read accounts of these attacks by the man-eating lions,
Yes.
and they talk about men being dragged from their tents and their colleagues being able to hear them as they're eaten
Yes,
alive by
yes.
the lions.
Horrifying, isn't it?
Let me ask you a political question. The fact that you and your community
Yes.
are now a very, very long way from where naturally you
Yes.
came from,
Yes.
and you're in this alien culture. I mean, was what the British did in bringing you here a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good question. To be honest, I have no regrets for being here. And when people ask me, you know, who are you? Where are you from? You know, I see Kenya as my home, and I have no regrets for coming here.
The Indian workers who built the Kenya Railway were part of a bigger empire story. The shifting of populations around the globe to meet the empire's need for labor. In the 18th century, Africans were taken as slaves to the sugar plantations of the West Indies. Their descendants now people those islands. In the 19th century, Tamils from South India were sent to pick tea on estates in Sri Lanka or tap rubber in Malaya. All had to make new homes in Britain's ever-growing empire. The world still lives with the consequences of these great population shifts. In the 20th century, Indians came to play a vital part in the Kenyan economy as shopkeepers and professionals. Then, on the 12th of December 1963, Kenya gained independence from Britain. Now, Indians in Kenya were seen as unwelcome relics from the days of British rule. Many of them feared for their future and turned to their former colonial masters to provide a new home.
The Asian community prepared to leave. Britain was their destination. The Kenya government had not pulled its punches in telling the British passport-holding Asians they were not wanted. Asian shopkeepers were left with little alternative but to wind up their businesses and seek new routes. The airport was jammed with those lucky enough to get flight tickets to Britain.
Though not everyone in Britain was happy about it at the time, the empire was coming home. Many Kenyan Asians chose to settle in the Midlands, in cities like Leicester. In the process, they transformed the face of urban Britain. Today, over a quarter of Leicester's population is of Asian origin. They've worked hard and done well, as in Kenya, specializing in running shops and businesses. Oh, you must be Ramila.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank
Come
you
on
very
in.
much. Thank you. Thank you. Ramila Shah came to Britain from Kenya when she was 14. She's now a Labour councillor in Leicester.
Jeremy, I would like to introduce you to my husband, Suresh.
How do you do? Hello, I'm Jeremy. How do you do? Her husband, Suresh, was also brought up in Kenya.
That's my mother-in-law.
How do you do? Very good to see you. His mother brought the family over in 1968. His sister, Madhu, was 18 when she left Kenya and went to India. But she didn't feel at home there and followed her family to England.
That's the model of our shop in Kenya.
That was the family business, was it?
Yeah. That's me.
Oh, you're the little boy, yeah.
Yeah. That's my elder brother.
Uh-huh.
That's my dad at the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mom at the back.
So this is Grandma over here,
Yeah.
when slightly younger, eh? Must have taken all of you some getting used to. Come from the warmth of East Africa and...
So cold.
At that time, I think not many people even had a central heating. And used to use a charcoal fires.
Your paraffin heaters.
Or paraffin heaters. There were no bathrooms.
No bathrooms?
No. People had to go public bath at that
When
time.
we stayed at my aunt's house and says, you can't have a bath like you used to have twice a day in Kenya. It'll be once a week now. We'll have to go city center to the public baths.
Public bath.
Yes, so
You must have thought we were a really dirty people, did you? It must have been very strange.
No bath, no toilet,
toilet
no heater. Toilet
outside.
outside.
When you think about the British Empire, most people, as far as I can see in this country, have a pretty black and white view about what the British Empire was. And what they're taught very often is that it was really pretty much a bad thing, imposing your rule on somebody else. What do you guys think about the Empire?
You know, in
Do you-
one way, I think we thank the British Empire, for...
You thank the
Yeah,
British
thank them, because where we are at the moment
Yeah.
and what we have and
that time
everything...
used to have a job
Yeah,
and-
yeah, and it's because of that, everything what we achieved and we are, so we've got to thank the British Empire.
Do you know how politically incorrect you are?
When I came here, there was a job. If you want to work, can go to college, study.
I think wherever British people were, and they went and wherever, whichever country they ruled, the country was good. It was ruled good, it was better and everything, and there was no corruption, nothing. That's what my feelings are. As soon as the British left any country, I think that just went downhill. That's my own feelings about it.
It's Diwali night in Leicester, the festival of lights. Over 35,000 people come here each year for the biggest Diwali celebration outside India. For better or for worse, the empire changed the world. But it changed Britain too. For many of the peoples who were colonized, home is now here. A land utterly different from the one the empire builders left behind.